Yeah. And he'd say shit like, I don't know if I'm the second coming, but I just came twice. You know what I'm saying? So fucking dumb. All right, folks. He's a great comic. You can see him all over the city. Get loud for Obi Ehn!
Hey, yo. Shalom. Yes, 2 Jews in a row. Yeah, they make them in niggas now. Hitler didn't know. Und Jews, Juden makes rap music? I didn't, Thank you. How are you guys? How are we doing? We good? You guys, really nice. Thank you guys for being here. It's really nice. Sorry, I'm gonna move on from the Judaism. Just one more. I just loved how, the last comic, kind of named, the Bush lineage, in the most Jewish way, it was out of the Bible. She was like, George Bush begat H.W., who was brother to Jeb, who was unceremoniously carried off by a swarm of locusts at a pep rally. That was how, I loved it. I fucking love being Jewish. It upsets everyone. I think we live in the most confusing time ever. I don't think this is the hardest time, but I think it's the most confusing time. We live in a time where things like gender distinctions are breaking down and falling upon itself, and also class distinctions aren't as clear as they used to be. What I'm trying to say is I am a hipster. And this means, now we're gonna do some math, this means I fucked baristas. I have. This is what I've done. Now, if X equals Y, obviously I'm referring to white bitches with hairy armpits. That's what I'm talking about. I've nutted in La Colombe employees before. I've done this. Now, to round out this equation, if I've made love to white bitches with hairy armpits, that means I've hung out with rich people who pretend to be poor, okay? I've been around a lot of bitches with rips in their pants and Molly addictions, the shorties, Molly addictions. These classist ass motherfuckers. Everyone knows crack is for the people, okay? All right, heroin is the dope for the proletariat, I think it's in the Communist Manifesto, chapter 3, go Pookie, and I don't know, don't vote. I don't know that much about communism, I just lie on Tinder. I don't know, it's weird. Everyone nowadays, we live in a time where everyone right now is a little bit rich and a little bit poor. Okay, everyone's a little bit rich, a little bit poor, I don't know, some of y'all right now, I see a lot of groups here, some of y'all don't even know. Y'all are in crews with broke niggas right now. You don't even fucking know. Wolves in sheep clothing. Older step cousins in off-brand Gucci. It's a shame, it's sad. I was downtown and I saw a homeless person with one of those tri-lensed iPhones, and they're talking on it, and they weren't calling for help. Nigga, bro, who? To whom, nigga? Who are you calling? Call the Pope or nigga. I don't know. Fucking. By the way, I can make jokes about homeless people because I was recently one of them, okay? So it's not really punching down, it's more punching across on the bench we're both sleeping on. A friend of mine, she went to DePaul, red flag, and and she was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry that you're housing insecure. She bowed at me. She's like, you're housing insecure. I'd never heard that term before. I love the term housing insecure because it sounds nothing like homelessness at all. It sounds more like, like a girl flirting with you, and she's like, oh, I don't know, I think you're really cute. I'm like, no, stop. Fucking stop. No, stop, my roommate's a rat. Like, that's what housing insecure sounds like. Everyone's a little bit rich and a little bit poor now. And it didn't used to be that way. Like in the olden days, the before times, if you were poor, you was fucking broke. You were so fucking poor. Your life sucked. Life was terrible. Like if you were poor in the olden days, like you lived in like an upside down bucket, like they'll call it a hut, but like it was a bucket. Like it was a bucket. And if you wanted to use the bathroom, you had to do it in a smaller bucket, and then you threw it out the window. No, this is what they did. Consult your social studies textbook. Consult your social studies textbooks. And you didn't really have a name back in the day. Like your name was just kind of a sound. Like your name was like Bim. Like your name was Bim. Like they didn't have enough time to give you the attention to give you a name because they're too busy being poor. So like if someone went Bim, you're like, oh yeah, that's me. I'm Bim. And your last name was your job. Your name was Bim Shovels. Bim of Shovels. And nobody knew whether you made or used shovels because nobody cared enough to record what you did with regards to shovels. And you had an ugly wife. That's what you had, an ugly wife with huge tits. You had a hideous wife with beautiful, large, voluptuous tits, like National Geographic fucking tits, okay? And she bore you 7 children. Now, I told this joke to a girl I was seeing, and she's like a really smart, beautiful girl, She has like super progressive ideas. And she was like, oh, is that all this woman does? What, just bears the man children? Huh, you're not gonna empower her or anything? I'm like, see, this is why you and I would have never made it in the olden times, bitch. Like, we would have, my girl, she's like wafy and beautiful and outspoken. I'm like, bitch, you'd never yield me a warrior. You never make me a champion. Like, you would be a wonderful wife, sir. Like, you'd be an amazing wife for me. Like, you look like you'd make me twins who can push wheelbarrows. And she bore you 7 children, and those 7 children got dysentery. And then the 6 of them grew up and they made more poor people, and that's what it was like to be poor in the olden days. And it was horrible, okay? But it was peaceful and your life was your own. Now, rich people, you didn't know a rich person if you were poor, okay? Fucking, before the 60s, meeting a nigga who made $25K per annum was like discovering the chupacabra, okay? Like, it just didn't happen. Like, if you wanted to see a rich person, you had to go to a castle. Do you know what a castle is? That's like 3 buckets. It's not like now we like live with rich people. Like, they're all around us. Like, if you look at your phone, you'll see Hailey Bieber waxing her coochie. Like, she's just live streaming it. You'll look into your palm and you'll see wedding photos of your cousins and Joe Biden doing tricks on a yo-yo. Like, we live in a nightmare. It's horrible. The modern era, postmodernism's terrible. I listened to the 1975. But yeah, no, you had to go to a castle, but you couldn't even get to the castle because there was a moat. Now, I don't know what you know what a moat is, but it's a bridge that doesn't work, okay? Like, bridges are supposed to get you places, a moat gets you nowhere, okay? To get past the moat, you had to swim past alligators and traverse a gate before you could see Hailey Bieber wax her coochie. Why did the chicken cross the road? He couldn't because there was a fucking moat. All right, thank you. Good night. Bye.
Louder, motherfuckers. Keep it going for Obi Ehn. All right, folks. Are y'all ready for our